Fun fact, the Michelin Star restaurant rating system was started by the same two brothers who started the Michelin Tire Company, André and Edouard Michelin, but they didn't set out with the intention of creating the world's most prestigious and recognizable restaurant award. The Michelin Star restaurant rating system came from the Michelin Guide, and the first version of the Michelin Guide was a small red book originally published in 1900, but it only covered France. The original intention of the Michelin Guide was to make it easier for people to buy a car and enjoy motoring around France. At the time of its original publication, there were less than 3,000 cars in France, and the concept of driving to get from point A to point B was very unfamiliar to people, as they would usually just take the train to get where they needed to go. Also, no one really knew which roads connected to which other roads, where they might find a gas station, or where they would find a rest stop. So the Michelin brothers assembled the Michelin Guide to help people get used to driving and plan road trips or car journeys, which would cause them to burn more rubber, therefore increasing the sales of Michelin tires. The original Michelin Guide featured all the useful information a keen motorist would need, such as how to change a tire, maps, where to fuel a car, the locations of mechanics, where rest stops were located, as well as the locations of restaurants. The first Michelin Guide covered only France, and it became incredibly popular among motorists. Within 10 years of the original Michelin Guide's release, the Michelin Tire Company began producing similar Michelin Guides to cover the rest of Europe and North Africa, with separate guides being made to cover specific areas. The Michelin Tire Company produced the Michelin Guide for free and updated and re-released them every year for 14 years. But due to World War I, they had to temporarily halt production. At some point during this temporary halt in production, one day André Michelin arrived at a tire shop and saw his prized Michelin Guide under a workbench being used to prop it up and stop it from wobbling. He was furious, and he went back to the Michelin base and told his brother they were changing the Michelin Guide based on the principle that a man only truly respects what he pays for. In 1920, the Michelin Guide was relaunched and was no longer free. It was now sold for 7 francs per copy. The 1920 Michelin Guide also now included a list of hotels in Paris, lists of restaurants according to specific categories, and no longer featured paid advertisements. The Michelin brothers also acknowledged the growing influence the Michelin Guide's restaurant section was having on the dining scene, and the brothers recruited a team of mystery diners, or restaurant inspectors, to begin visiting and reviewing restaurants anonymously. In 1926, the Michelin Guide began awarding a Michelin Star to fine dining establishments, acknowledging their exceptional cuisine and service. But initially there was no ranking system. You either had or did not have a Michelin Star. In 1931, the Michelin Guide introduced the hierarchy system of 1, 2, or 3 Michelin stars, with 1 star being a very good restaurant in its category, 2 stars being excellent cooking, a restaurant worth making a detour for, and 3 stars being exceptional cuisine, a restaurant worth making a special journey for. All this was done in the hopes of encouraging Michelin Guide readers to plan a special road trip to go visit an exceptional restaurant, once again burning more rubber and increasing Michelin tire sales. But no one knew why a restaurant was or was not given a 1, 2, or 3 star rating, as the criteria for earning a Michelin star was not public knowledge. It wasn't until 1936 that the criteria for how a restaurant was evaluated was published for the first time. The criteria a restaurant inspector judges a restaurant by are the quality of the products, the mastery of flavors and cooking techniques, the personality of the chef represented in the dining experience, value for money, and consistency between inspectors' visits. The Michelin Guide had to halt production again in 1939 as the Second World War broke out, but something very interesting happened with the 1939 Michelin Guide. As the Allies prepared for their D-Day assault in Normandy, the Allies approached Michelin to ask their permission to reprint the 1939 Michelin Guide and provide it to all their troops landing in France. The Michelin brothers had put so much effort into their Michelin Guides, and they were so meticulously made, that the Michelin Guide had the best maps of France available in the world. In addition to this, the guide's maps were heavily detailed, featuring the locations of landmarks, prominent hotels, and restaurants, so that even if the Germans changed or removed street signs while retreating out of France, the Allied ground troops would be able to geolocate themselves by using the landmarks featured in the guide's maps. Michelin, of course, agreed, and the 1939 Michelin Guide was reproduced en masse by the US War Department for the Allied invasion of Europe. There was almost no difference between the 1939 Michelin Guide and the American military reprint provided to the Allied troops landing in France, except for the fact that the military version had no tire insert and was stamped for official use only. But Michelin didn't just have the best maps of France, they had the best, most detailed maps of Europe as a whole. The Michelin Guide and its maps were produced in-house at the Michelin head office in Clermont-Ferrand, and inside the Michelin head office was a department known as the Boulevard of Itineraries, or the map-making office. What what Michelin now calls the internet before its time. After the Allies liberated Clermont-Ferrand, the Michelin map-making department began producing Michelin maps of Belgium and Germany for the Allies to use in their forward offensives. The next publication of the Michelin Guide hit shelves for sale on May 16, 1945, 1 week after VE Day. And the Michelin Guide hasn't really changed that much since it relaunched after the Second World War, but it has continued to evolve. In 1955, the guide embraced different types of dining experiences, introducing the Bib Gourmand rating for restaurants that serve high-quality food at reasonable prices. This usually means a 3-course meal for under $40. But this $40 threshold fluctuates based on local currencies. For example, the Bib Gourmand threshold in Tokyo is 5,000 yen, in Hong Kong it's 300 Hong Kong dollars. The Michelin Guide also added the comfort and quality rating for restaurants. This rating is for restaurants who are not judged on service or atmosphere and only judged on the quality of their food. The comfort and quality rating can also manifest itself in a variety of different ways, like the interesting wine list rating, the interesting view rating for restaurants serving high quality food in places with exceptional views, the counter dining rating, or the simple shop rating, not to be confused with the street food rating. The street food section of the Michelin Guide was originally introduced in the 2017 Singapore Michelin Guide, as the guide continued to expand globally. The Michelin Guide introduced the street food section to recognize street food vendors who are serving food at an exceptional culinary standard. And I really appreciate this about the Michelin Guide. Through their evolution, they've created ways to include and acknowledge chefs and restaurants who are providing exceptional cuisine or dining experiences, while also accepting that just because the food might not be served inside a luxurious 5-star restaurant, it doesn't mean that the chef or restaurant shouldn't be acknowledged. While many of us no longer associate a Michelin Star restaurant with the Michelin Tire Company, I find it incredibly interesting that two brothers who started off with a tire company and a clever marketing scheme created the benchmark for what we all recognize today as the highest award in cooking. That's it, another long-form fun fact. Hope you guys liked that one. Thank you all so much for all your comments and feedback on my last long fun fact, which might be under me somewhere now. It was really interesting. I really appreciated all that feedback. And you'll notice I cut this one up. I really enjoy doing like the long videos, and I get a great sense of satisfaction out of them. But I just didn't feel like the quality was there because I always had to stop and breathe or swallow or something. And it kind of felt the same like a cut to me. So I figured I may as well cut these up. Let me know what you guys think about this format. Give me some feedback. Let me know what you thought about this fun fact. I love reading all your comments and hearing what you guys have to say. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this, and we'll see you for the next one.